Welcome back. Daily Show. 9:17. I'm early for once. And with Madison County Chairman Chris Slusser. How's life been treating you? It's been a while since you've been on the show.
Yeah, it has been a while. Things are going very well.
Man, the county is busy, to say the least.
Yes, yes. We have a lot of good things going on, that's for sure.
Well, and I appreciate the time and really just getting a chance to really go into some of the work being done, some of the projects, and really just bring it to light for maybe folks that need some more information or just want to learn more about some of the work that's being done across all levels. Where do we start?
Sure. Well, I mean, one of the first things I wanted to do when I came in was kind of straighten out the chaos and kind of eliminate some of the backbiting and the infighting that was going on. And I think we've done that. We've really stabilized the county government and all the departments are working together. The county board, we don't always agree on everything, but we're like having respectful disagreements and we work things out behind the scenes. And so our meetings aren't embarrassing and not chaotic. And I think it's been good. I think the people appreciate that.
Well, and now when you came in, we were talking about that because there was a pretty big divide, and it seems like everyone is, for the most part, in front of the public, getting along and at least being, courteous to each other.
Yes.
Now, on the back end side of things, are you seeing, that lead to more projects and more conversations? It doesn't have to be a major, magnitude, but just projects and working together.
Right. It has, because when you get to be known for having embarrassing meetings and chaos, and your meetings resemble a Jerry Springer show, that doesn't foster growth and opportunities. Developers aren't looking to come work. They don't want to be a part of that chaos. And I think we've had some local communities that had some of those struggles. And I think once they iron that out, things started happening. But yes, I think so. I think all of our people are rowing in the same direction. I have a very strong economic development agenda. And so every decision we make at the county, we have to first ask ourselves the question, how does this affect economic development? Yeah. And if not, it doesn't mean we're not going to do it, but is it necessary? Is this helping the county grow? Is this serving the purpose that it needs to serve?
Well, and if it's okay, let's talk about the data center for a little bit, because I know that's been the kind of the most.
I've barely heard anything about
it. Where does the county stand? Where do you stand on the data centers?
Sure.
I know that there's some towns that are, facing some. I don't want to call it back, but they're facing some conversations and some.
There's a lot of pushback, especially in Troy, and that one's off the table. There's not going to be a data center built in Troy.
Okay.
The locations just don't work there.
Right.
And the citizens really spoke that they didn't want the landscape of their community changed. Mm-hmm. And so their city council and their mayor are responsive. And, we don't get to vote on that at the county level. These are inside city limits.
Right.
But since these developments were going to start happening, I will tell you, a year ago, I didn't even know what a data center was.
I still don't really know what a data center is.
And so then in the summer when St. Charles put their moratorium, they were at the 2-yard line to approve this one. And then there was a political consulting firm that got hired by a wealthy family and they torpedoed it. Gotcha. It was within a mile of their $4 million home, I guess. And so it was a fear of the unknown and they didn't want it.
Yeah.
And so it got shelved and they put a moratorium, and then St. Louis City and County followed suit. And so I started thinking, I got together with my team and I said, is this something we need to be doing? Do we need to get out in front and be looking at a moratorium? Or is this an opportunity for us in the Metro East, because they've put things on hold in the Missouri side? And so we started doing a lot of research. The main concerns with data centers are, number one, they use a lot of power. Mm-hmm. They use a lot of water. They can be noisy. They're not a lot of jobs. Takes up a lot of farmland, those kind of things. So we started going through and addressing all those. And then once we got better educated on that, we felt more comfortable with that for a couple reasons. Number one, the power thing is what it is. If they use 500 megawatts, that's enough to power a city of about 300,000.
Wow.
That's one site. There are several developers that are speculating, until a formal proposal is submitted, and none was ever even submitted in Troy. They were kicking the tires on it. They never got a land deal in place. There has to be a land deal in place. They have to submit a formal proposal before it can really be taken seriously. Right. I mean, you still want to lay the groundwork. You want to put your zoning in place just in case. But I've literally probably had 100 different projects pitched at me by different developers in the last year or 14 months. And I would say maybe 5% of those are going to come to fruition. There's a lot of speculation out there.
Well, I think that is so much of what causes the immediate backlash or the immediate, public comments, because, there's certain protocols that are done by city councils and governments that, whatever route they choose it because there's a potential. But really just getting out there and saying, this is just how, I hate to say it, but how just these things work.
Right. It's not that they're hiding anything, because there was some accusations in Troy that, they've been having these conversations for a long time. Well, I mean, that's the city manager's job. I mean, too, they're not there to turn away all business. They want to fully investigate it. These are the protections we could put in place if this were to come. And then if the city council decides they want it, then they can vote it up or down.
Do you see where do you see a data center right now, if any? If and I don't want to put you on the spot.
No. I mean, there are some places that are considering Granite City.
Okay.
They're looking at that warehouse district too, like Pontoon, Edwardsville. I think those are more appropriate areas because they're not closer to homes.
Yeah.
And I think, if someone in Troy had made the comment, would you want this in your backyard? And people say that, they post Facebook comments about that. Yeah. I'm the wrong person to ask because I live less than 3 blocks from the fence line of the Phillips 66 refinery, and I'm probably 6 to 7 blocks away from the old Amoco BP refinery. Yeah. And so, but you know what? I knew that when I bought there.
Right.
And so these are areas, I think areas that have been zoned industrial for 100 years make sense because that's just what those areas are for. And I think the Route 3 corridor, that goes from Alton down to Venice. I think if there are appropriate sites there and the cities can put in the proper regulations and protections, those could be, but those are going to be up to those individual communities.
Well, and we always hear the quote unquote negatives or just the down effect, but what's the positive for, the county there? What's the positive for the city that would to, host that site?
Sure. So a few things. Let me real quick address the negatives.
Okay.
And I can run through this fairly quickly. So the power, everyone thinks that if this gets built in Alton or this gets built in Wood River or Granite City or Troy, that your community's power rates are going to triple. Right. That's not the way it works. I would have probably thought the same thing before, 7-8 months ago. But we've been having a lot of meetings with utility companies and getting a really good understanding of how the grid works. So if you ever if you have some free time, Google the MISO power grid map. Just do a Google image search. It shows all the grids in the country. It looks like a gerrymandered political map. and the MISO, it really does. And the MISO, not as bad as some of the gerrymandered in Illinois, but it goes from Manitoba, so the Arctic Circle, all the way down. It takes in parts of 15 states and ends up in the Gulf of America. So New Orleans. If they built one of these, and Chicago is not on our grid, by the way, they're on the PJM grid. So the northeast part and northern part of Illinois, the very northern part, are on the East Coast grid with Virginia, where a ton of data centers are being built. So they could build one of these in Detroit and Minneapolis, New Orleans, Little Rock, or, St. Clair County, and our rates are going to be affected one way or another. Right. It's not going to. So if they go and build it somewhere else, our rates will be affected regardless. We get none of the jobs, none of the revenue, none of the benefits.
So if the rates are going to be affected anyway, the thought is you might as well capitalize on the jobs and all the other benefits.
And the legislature at both the federal and state level, they are also working on requiring them to start producing their own power. And these companies, the large companies, they actually want to do that. They want to produce their own power. I can see that. Yeah.
And now, when it comes to, any coordinated effort, have any state, wide, officials, whether it's the governor's office or any reps, state senators, spoken about this in support of saying it's this is something that could be really good for the district and the state should support.
So the interesting thing is this is the one issue that President Trump and J.B. Pritzker both agree on. They want to build data centers.
I never thought I'd hear that in the same sentence.
Well, there's two things. They want to build data centers and they want to build more nuclear power, which helps power the data centers. It is really an information race with China. I read something over the weekend that because of all this nationwide pushback suddenly on data centers, and for some of it for good reason, but there's a lot of misinformation. I hate the word misinformation, but it's just people who, if you do a Google image search for a medical condition like a rash or pink eye, you're going to get the most horrific looking examples. That's kind of how it is with data centers too. You're going to get all the negatives. But China wins every time we don't build these things because they want to build all of it. They want to control all the information. But every time, these buildings are just big warehouses like you'd see in the warehouse district. They're full of servers. thousands of servers, billions of dollars worth.
Wow.
So they will spend about $1.5 billion to $2 billion to build the facility, and then they'll outfit it with about $4 billion worth of hardware. Wow. And it is so. If
That's incredible.
So if they built 3 or 4 of these in the county, you're talking $20 to $25 billion worth of investment in our county. Something that is like a generational thing. It's never happened before.
Yeah, and it makes sense. Well, and before we take the break too,
sure.
We'll come back and talk about some of the other projects. Do you think that, before your official term is done, before, the re-election starts and everything, that a data center would be, that you see ground being broke on it, or do you think it might be?
It's hard to say.
Okay, it just depends.
The state is putting in some new regulations that may slow things down or may kill it altogether. I don't know if one would be done by 2028, but I think there's potential that a few they would be under construction at that point.
Interesting. We'll take a quick break. It's 9:30 on the nose. We'll come back. Your clock's a little bit off because we're on 9:30 on the nose for us in the studio. We'll come back. Daily Show with County Chairman Chris Slusser continues right after this.
Do you need to declutter your space? Time to call me, the Queen of Junk. Since 1993, we have grown to be the leader in residential, commercial, and property management junk removal. At Sparks Junk Removal, we are eco-friendly. We recycle, donate, or repurpose items back into our community. Trash is our last resort to the landfill. Plus, with our all-inclusive service, our crews handle everything from labor to lifting and landfill fees. Give us a call or visit our website, sparksjunkremoval.net, to reclaim your space today.
At Alton Elite Jiu-Jitsu, we help students of all ages build confidence, discipline, and real-world strength. Join a supportive community that challenges you to grow both on and off the mat. Experience the art of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with a 7-day free trial at our new location. Call 618-795-2692 or visit altonelite.com to start your journey today. Train hard, serve others, live elite at Alton Elite Jiu-Jitsu.
Tomorrow isn't built by dreamers.
Struggling with depression that just won't go away? At Precision TMS, we offer a non-invasive, drug-free treatment designed to target the areas of the brain linked to mood regulation. Using FDA-cleared transcranial magnetic stimulation, gentle magnetic pulses help reactivate underperforming brain circuits without surgery or sedation. Many patients experience real relief, even after other treatments haven't worked. Our experienced team provides personalized care every step of the way. Contact Precision TMS today to see if TMS therapy is right for you.
Accidents happen in a heartbeat, but lives change forever. Whether it's a car crash, workplace injury, medical malpractice, or wrongful death, you don't have to face the consequences alone. Keith Short and Associates brings over 33 years of experience and a reputation for fighting fiercely for your rights. For relentless representation that you can trust, call Keith Short and Associates at 618-254-0055 today for a free consultation.
Do you need to declutter
Welcome back, Daily Show, 9:33 is the time. I'm with County Chairman Chris Slusser. And, going back into the data centers, a lot of people have made the comment or the thought that, what about the sound and the noise that comes out of them? the environmental impacts. You've had a chance to actually go and tour one in Nebraska.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on the hum, the proverbial hum, or the noise, and then some of those other?
Sure. So what we learned was when we went on that campus, I wanted to see one in person, and I wanted to hear it, and I wanted to be able to testify what I saw. And we were shocked that there was no sound. I mean, it was silent. And we just kept wondering, and we could hear the bus, that dropped us off. And we just kept saying to ourselves, like, where's the sound? And we asked them, and they said that we've built these things, the big companies, like that build the hyperscale centers, your Google, Netflix, Microsoft, Apple, Meta, they want to be socially responsible in their communities. So they've made these things soundproof. And so now you get inside the building, we couldn't even hear it inside the building. Now we couldn't get on the data center floor because that's like, you had to have a retinal scan. It's top secret.
Oh, wow.
It's all trade secret stuff. And so they said on the data center floor, it's very loud and you have to have ear protection at times, but we couldn't even hear it inside the rest of the building and clearly not outside. Wow. So the humming that you see in a lot of these videos that get posted, those are for data centers that are either smaller or they were built 10 or 15 years ago.
Gotcha.
Before the hyperscalers started building their big centers. And now as far as like the water issue, if they use that, so they're full of servers because it's all cloud storage and backup. And everybody needs backup, whether you have mobile banking, whether you have pictures on your phone, you're doing Google searches, you're using ChatGPT, security system at your house, a Google Nest thermostat. If you're streaming Netflix or Amazon Prime, you're buying anything on Amazon. Right. That's why we need these data centers. And so it gets very hot when you have that many servers running, a whole warehouse full of millions of these things. And so they have to have large cooling systems. So when they use evaporative cooling systems, which are probably the cheapest to run, it uses a lot of water because they have an evaporative system to cool the water.
Gotcha.
And so they could use 1 million gallons of water a day, sometimes more than that.
Wow.
Now, to put that in perspective, your average golf course uses 500,000 to 600,000 gallons a day to irrigate a golf course.
Really?
Yes. If you have a couple of like the 2 car washes in Edwardsville combined use over 500,000 gallons a day. Wow. No one's calling for those to be closed down. However, what the cities in Madison County that I've talked to, I've said, hey, and this is my personal opinion and what the policy I push, if we're going to have this, we need to force them through ordinance, through zoning, to use a closed loop cooling system. And that is basically like your geothermal type system. Gotcha. To where they would put 1 million gallons of water in one time and it just circulates in perpetuity. And so you wouldn't need additional water. In Troy, they were asking for 32,000 gallons a day, which is like what a restaurant might use. Yeah. But that's because they will have a cafeteria. They'll have, toilets, sinks, those kind of things, just your typical thing.
I was going to add, that was one thing I was curious about is after, a data center comes in, do you see them looking to partner more with, local contractors and doing that type of business? Yeah. Because I think the other side of the fear could be, well, what if they just, bring in their own independent,
Sure.
third party guys, and then there's no real economic benefit here.
Right. So the one we visited in Nebraska, they had a few hundred employees that are employed by Google.
Okay.
Then there were security contractors. It was like getting on a military base getting on this because there's a lot of confidential, information and trade secret type stuff. So they had a pretty big security team. And so that's 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. They're tech people that are there. Those are good paying jobs, over $100,000 a year. And most of them only require a 2-year program. So I've actually been working with our community colleges here. Like, hey, if they're going to build these things in the region, whether it's Madison County or wherever, we need to get a program together, a 2-year program. So by the time they build these things, we have a local workforce. These are good jobs. And then they also have, custodian, cafeteria workers, those kind of things. But also they require electricians. They require pipe fitters and plumbers for the closed loop cooling system, HVAC technicians. So they told us that there are local HVAC contractors and electricians that they use that are just continually on that campus. And they spend $1 million a year per building on HVAC filter replacement. Wow. So some local contractors get to service that. And if they have 4 of those buildings, that's $4 million a year they're spending in HVAC filters and general HVAC maintenance.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yes. And so there are also about 2,000 construction jobs that'll happen, and those will be, anywhere between a 4 to 6 year period where they'll have that level. So all of our local trades are excited about it because they would all be employed. There would be so many opportunities. They would have to bring in outside contractors as well, like we did with the refinery expansion, because there just weren't enough local pipe fitters to meet the demand. And so, some people will say, well, those are temporary jobs. Well, every construction job is a temporary job, but at the end of that job, the tradesmen don't don't say, well, I guess I have to find another vocation now because the job's over. You know, you move on to the next job.
Right.
You know? And and there are ongoing maintenance, you know, on these projects. They're switching out the server technology every 4 to 5 years.
That's what I was
so
curious
it's a
about,
constant
too.
multi-billion-dollar reinvestment.
Yeah,
So,
well, and it seems like that's great for any business sector too, or
Right.
any type of trade job.
also the property taxes. I want to talk about that.
Okay.
This was the most shocking thing to me because I think about like the warehouses and the Gateway Commerce Center.
Mm-hmm.
Those buildings will pay 1.2 million, 1.3 million on the high side in property taxes.
Mm-hmm.
One of these data centers will pay anywhere between 40 and 50 million dollars a year in property taxes.
Whoa.
Right now, our Phillips 66 refinery is the largest taxpayer in the county. They pay 26 million a year. So one of these data centers could pay double what they pay.
Oh, wow.
So what I've talked about with the taxing districts, and all of them are on board. Every conversation I've had, hey, if you're going to do this in your community, you don't need all that growth. Like, there's no way that your revenue requests are suddenly your needs are going to double.
Yeah.
So why don't we maybe take some of that new revenue, pay off some long-term things, do some things that you've neglected, you know, a city like Granite City or Pontoon Beach or wherever it goes. Alton has lots of needs. And so take some of that revenue and use the rest of that revenue to lower property taxes. So in Troy, one of the examples we had was even at very conservative estimates on what the equalized assessed value of the property would be, they could have saw a 30% immediate reduction in their property taxes.
Wow.
And then there are certain cities where it could be 50%. Now that's a meaningful thing.
Well, it is,
you know?
and that's something too to take into account because I think of all the times we talk data centers, we only hear of just the negatives, and we don't see that there are a lot of financial benefits to it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a community benefit there. Yeah.
Well,
so that's why I'm open to these things. I'm not like forcing them on a community. If a community if they've heard the entire proposal and they're just still convinced they don't want it, then that's one thing. But I think to just immediately dismiss it based on some things you've searched on the internet, they come in all shapes and sizes, and depending on the company that operate them, they're all a little bit different. But I think cities now are more nimble and they're ahead of the game, and they can regulate some of these things. Like in Granite City, I know in one of the Plan Commission meetings, there was a gentleman who was like shouting at the microphone that like this is going to create too much noise in our community, and then right then a train came through downtown Granite City and you couldn't hear the person speaking. I mean, there are railroads all over downtown Granite. These data centers, the way they're going to be regulated, you're never going to hear them.
Well, and that's something too, I think, and just hearing too a little bit more about the community contributions that they have made, the bigger from the bigger companies have made. It's going to be interesting, I think, for if one gets put in to see the public react to it in real time, because I think it might, it might be what it is now and all, this isn't good. And then you might see those benefits and go,
right, well,
this is actually, why'd we cry over this?
Right.
Interesting. So before we keep moving on, I wanted to ask a lot of more about the positive stuff going on too, because there is a lot of growth and there's a lot of communities that are really, I think, doing a lot to make Madison County a more livable place. It seems like Glen Carbon's really doing a good job about that right now. What are your thoughts just about some of the local governments and just the contributions that you're seeing made, and what's that mean for your position in the county to go in and expand growth, because you can only do as much as it seems like the towns are willing to contribute to.
So far it's been very good. The first year I spent meeting with pretty much every community in the county. Yeah. And so I sat down with their administration, with my economic development team. We have a couple contractors because I didn't want to add another bureaucrat to the payroll that's just a pencil pusher. And so we have contractors that, they're there when we need them. And so we met with each individual community, sat down with them, talked about what their needs are, what their vision is. Not everyone has the resources of an Edwardsville or even a Glen Carbon. And so we want to offer our services. How can we help partner with you to find dollars that we need or bring developments that we need? And it's been really cool because all the communities, they're very receptive. They like it. It's a good working relationship. They know that we're there to be a partner. I don't care about getting credit for anything. I just want good things to happen in every community, I mean, I'm partial to Wood River where I live, and I kind of have an affinity to Granite City because I've just spent a lot of time down there, and the mayor and I are very close. But I've become pretty close with like almost all the mayors in the county. So I knew a lot of them already, but it's been good. And I think I'm excited about a lot of the things that are starting to happen in some of the communities.
Well, and now, is there anything that you're excited for the most this year? Is there any policy that you're seeing or any type of project that you're going to oversee that you think this is going to be a good one for us.
Yeah, I think as far as me overseeing it, and I mean, we would only, we're kind of more of a regional leadership approach, because there's not a lot that happens in some of the unincorporated areas. We're usually trying to keep some developments out of those areas, like solar farms have been a bane of my existence, because the state has forced those on us and we can't stop them. And that's created conflict between us and some of the residents. And we're like, no, we're on your side, but like the state's heavy hand has come down on us here.
Right.
And so as long as they meet the minimum requirements for these solar farms, like 150-foot setback from the nearest home, like there's nothing we can do. We're getting sued right now over 2 that we rejected because there was so much opposition, and we're probably going to lose the lawsuits. I mean, the law is very clear. And so it's unfortunate, so, but as far as some of the other projects, there's, the Star Bonds projects that are, Glen Carbon. It's not been announced. And, I think at some point you're going to see, they're going to get a Star Bonds, district, which would be in that area south of 270, north of 162, 157 to the east, and 255 to the west. So it's a big farmland area out there. This could be huge, the project. I've talked to the developers there. I mean, we're talking like amusement park, like a national type thing, big sports complex, hotels, retails. It'll be a big draw, and there'll be the type of big retail anchors that we don't have here. And so it wouldn't be stealing from one of the other local businesses and just moving them down there. So that one's interesting. I mean, we're talking about a $2 billion investment there. I mean, if it's all said and done, if they're able to pull this off, I think the Hollywood River Studios is extremely exciting. I've had meetings with those developers. They have that's not just some flash in the pan kind of thing. I mean, they're in serious talks with Netflix and Amazon Prime. So and they've already done work with those at one of their other studios, so they could be doing real filming right there, just right down the Berm Highway here.
That's fantastic. I just want to. I'm not going to be on the building. I know people have. So the Cometco site. I mean, they're very close to getting a deal done there. A very large transaction. They'll be cleaning up that site finally. That'll be big. It'll be about a 5-year process. But that's one of the largest Superfund sites in America, and so. To get that cleaned up and back to a green field where it could be used again for the proper use is very exciting. Well, and I think that's why I find your, position so fascinating, because, you like you said, the regional leadership approach where there's so many different organizations and different programs, whether it's, a local thing or a Sierra Club, entity, you name it. But you also have just a lot of really different business sectors too. And you have a lot of different individuals that are really reaching towards the same goal. Is there ever a challenge in kind of having this leadership approach from really just let's watch and let's support? Is there ever a challenge with that, or is it one of the things that we just need to help provide resources when we see them? Is there any challenge at all when it comes to it?
I mean, there is, because you have some cities that they want to compete against each other, which it's just okay. But I'm trying to get us away from that to where we just think as a region rather than individual cities, and then everybody's going to get a win here and there, and it's just going to be good. And I always use the refinery as an example. It's in Roxana. None of those refinery workers live in Roxana. They all make $150,000 a year. They live in other communities in the county, and they spend money there. They build nice homes. They send their kids to school there. They shop there. So it's good for those communities too. And so that's why I try to tell people, just because it doesn't necessarily go in your community doesn't mean it's not going to be good for your community. So we have to look at things regionally. But I'm excited. Like now I'm chair of East West Gateway, so I got a little bit more attention there. I don't seek attention, so I don't want to give anybody the wrong idea. The only time I would ever try to seek attention is if it brings attention to our region. And so I am having just unbelievable discussions with developers looking at different projects, because now I've got them over here. People who have traditionally done West County and St. Charles, now they're coming over here, and I've got them excited about things over here and the opportunities. And they like the way the things are being run over here. And, so it's good. It's good.
Now, is there any challenges that you see that you're seeing yourself face right now as the county? Is there anything coming up ahead that you could see becoming an issue? Or is there anything right now that's kind of still top of mind for constituents and residents?
Yeah, I mean, I think with the data center comes a lot of people have strong opinions one way or another. And so I think that it's just properly educating people on what would be allowed and what would not be allowed, and what these things are and what they wouldn't be. And I think also our state, we face some challenges from policies that I feel are poor coming out of Springfield sometimes. Energy policy is the biggest one. I get along with the governor okay on a personal level. We don't agree on politics, but we do agree on a lot of economic development stuff. His team's been very good at being responsive whenever we're trying to get a deal done here and giving us some guidance. And they do have some good resources. But their energy policy, I talked to some of his people the other day and I said, hey, can we just put a pause on like trying to take coal off the grid as fast as we can until we've replaced it with nuclear or some kind of alternative source, whether it's renewable or whatever? And I said, because pulling it off whenever we've got the biggest spike in demand in U.S. history for energy because of the data center development. If you take away data center developments in the United States last year, our GDP would have almost been flat.
Really?
It is that big. That's why the president pushes it so much. That's why the governor pushes it. The president made these trade deals where now all these chip makers are going to start making all their chips in the United States. All of those go into data centers. So it just helps feed the process. And so, but we've got to get the energy side figured out because if we don't, then it's going to put too much strain on our grid. In 1975, kind of mid 70s, right before I was born, they had our country was at a crossroads, and they're like, do we build more coal or do we build more nuclear? And they took the worst option and built neither. And so then instead of energy getting cheaper over time, which it should because we have better technology and we can make more efficient energy, it's got more expensive. And so that is one thing I'm thankful for with the president. I'm thankful for a lot of his policies, but I think the energy policy is the most important, and they are really starting to unleash some of the regulations on nuclear because nuclear can be done so safe and so efficiently now.
Do you think it's just that when they hear the nuclear word, the public, it just kind of...
They think of 3 Mile Island or Chernobyl, but I mean, those were technologies that were built, 70, 80 years ago. I mean, the way they're doing it now is just so smart and so controlled and so well regulated.
I like this. We're going to take a quick break and come back with the final thought from Chairman Slusser right here on RiverBender.com. 9:51's the time. More next.
Struggling with depression that just won't go away? At Precision TMS, we offer a non-invasive, drug-free treatment designed to target the areas of the brain linked to mood regulation. Using FDA-cleared transcranial magnetic stimulation, gentle magnetic pulses help reactivate underperforming brain circuits without surgery or sedation. Many patients experience real relief, even after other treatments haven't worked. Our experienced team provides personalized care every step of the way. Contact Precision TMS today to see if TMS therapy is right for you.
Throughout all life stages, you need someone in your corner, guiding you on your health and wellness journey. At OSF Healthcare, that's your primary care provider. Your OSF primary care provider is there for every stage of life. Find a provider today at osfhealthcare.org/primary.
Accidents happen in a heartbeat, but lives change forever. Whether it's a car crash, workplace injury, medical malpractice, or wrongful death, you don't have to face the consequences alone. Keith Short and Associates brings over 33 years of experience and a reputation for fighting fiercely for your rights. For relentless representation that you can trust, call Keith Short and Associates at 618-254-0055 today for a free consultation.
At Alton Elite Jiu-Jitsu, we help students of all ages build confidence, discipline, and real-world strength. Join a supportive community that challenges you to grow both on and off the mat. Experience the art of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with a 7-day free trial at our new location. Call 618-795-2692 or visit AltonElite.com to start your journey today. Train hard, serve others, live elite at Alton Elite Jiu-Jitsu.
Do you need to declutter your space? Time to call me, the Queen of Junk. Since 1993, we have grown to be the leader in residential, commercial, and property management junk removal. At Sparks Junk Removal, we are eco-friendly. We recycle, donate, or repurpose items back into our community. Trash is our last resort to the landfill. Plus, with our all-inclusive service, our crews handle everything from labor to lifting and landfill fees. Give us a call or visit our website, sparksjunkremoval.net, to reclaim your space today.
9:54, a little bit of change. I'm with County Chairman Chris Slusser. Just wrapping up our conversation. Appreciate the time today, and I really
it's great
like
to be here.
Well, and I think it's great for the public just to hear from you too, because in a world full of like just social media posts and my best thing now is when politicians use AI to do their posts, and I'm like, you don't even know what an M- was until you got it. But it's really good just to have a conversation and take all the emotion of whatever you're feeling out, because that's, I think, a lot of our problem right now.
Right.
One thing I did want to ask you about that was, kind of pertinent to just this show is the trash issue.
Sure.
I know that there's been people making attempts to clean up the litter, and you have local companies like Sparks that are, trying to make changes too. Where do you see it on just the trash issue countywide? And is there anything that's coming down the pipeline that kind of revolves around this issue that might help?
Sure. We're still trying to pressure Springfield to regulate these trash trucks more. So that's where the vast majority of this is coming from. And it's everywhere where there's an interstate in St. Louis. They're all along 270, just, 44. I mean, they're just, it sucks.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, I hate it. And I have to drive by 140. I take 143 to work back and forth every day, and I have to see it. And some days when it's bad enough, I'm on the phone with my zoning director, and then he's on the phone with the landfill. And thankfully, they have been pretty good at getting out. They get out immediately, and they start cleaning up. It's never as good as I want it to be. I have pretty high standards, and so it's a point of frustration for me. We are going to have we haven't for a while because there's been some turnover in the sheriff's department, some retirements, but they are going to be out with their targeted law enforcement again, because we do see a drop in the trash whenever they're out there just hammering them. And then we do them randomly so they don't know when it's coming. And we cover all the bases. So if they try to radio each other and take alternative routes, they're hammering them. And they took several of MBI Trucking's trucks out of service. They had some guys that didn't have a valid CDL. So, I mean, there were...
So it was.
They've done about a half dozen of those, but I want to start doing them more regularly.
And from and not to cut you off, but I'm sure it's a resource and timing thing, because there's a lot of other issues that I don't want to say are more important, but more serious, that I'm sure that the sheriff's department is wanting to allocate more time to.
Right. But the sheriff, I will say, has been very accommodating.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He's good on this issue. There's another thing that we're working on that it's still, everything's a long shot until it's the paperwork signed and the deal's in place. But there is a facility that we've been talking with, a group out of Virginia, that they would like to build a plant where they could do thermal conversion of municipal solid waste, and it would actually reduce landfill usage by 96%. And basically the trash would come in, they would put it in this big thermal conversion chamber, they heat it up to 1400 degrees. It's zero emissions. There's no smokestack, no incinerator. There's just like 4% residue left over, and that's the only thing that would have to go to a landfill. And so it's a very expensive project. They would need a lot of municipal waste from certain communities to make it happen. But it's something that I'm hopeful for, and we're thinking outside the box. Instead of just complaining and just picking up trash all the time, let's find an alternative to where we don't have to have a landfill, because they all have an end use or an end date at some point anyway.
Right. So before we wrap up here, and I ask you just your final thoughts on the county going into 2026, the whole year, where are we on property taxes? Do you hear, because I'm not really in tune with other communities around Alton. I know what my property taxes. Countywide though, how are you feeling about them? Do you feel like you're in a good spot?
I mean, no, because at the county level, we have not raised our property tax levy in 11 years, and we have no intention in doing so. But schools, the way schools are funded, the way we do it in the state of Illinois, it's heavily reliant on local property taxes. Until that changes, and just wear out legislators and the governor's office or whoever I can talk to about this. And no one seems to have an appetite to make a change like they did in Indiana and some other states. We have the highest property taxes overall in the country in the state of Illinois now. We passed New Jersey. Not something I want to be first in.
No.
So, but if we can't do it through that change, then we have to, a local community can have a dramatic increase in their equalized assessed value, which would allow, all those taxing districts, they couldn't justify capturing all that growth, like a data center, like the refinery expansion. That's why the Roxana School District that's the school district I live in. We have the lowest property tax rate by far of any school district in the county, because the refinery, when they did that big expansion, the school district didn't capture 100% of it. They just captured a big chunk of it and then used the rest to lower everyone's property taxes.
And that ties back into what we were talking about with that data center.
Yes.
Before I let you go, Chairman Slusser, final thoughts just right now. What's 2026 look like? What are you grading?
I am just very, very excited about the region. I've never been more excited, not just because I'm in office, just in general, what I'm seeing, the excitement about Madison County. Nonstop. I hear from developers. I have conversations with developers. If I get them over here, they get excited about what they're seeing. And so I think that's very good for our communities as far as growth. Downtown Wood River, you're going to see some really big changes there. You're already starting to see it. Yeah. Downtown Granite City, we're going to see some changes. Highland has some good things going on. Glen Carbon, of course. Edwardsville's always got good stuff. That's the low-hanging fruit. I think Alton still has some good opportunities here too. Some of the, there's some projects I can't talk about yet because there's no deal in place and people are trying to negotiate, real estate contracts. But I don't ever sign an NDA though. I want that to be clear. Anybody that's ever asked me to sign an NDA, I just said, I'm just going to stop you right there. I'm never going to sign. Just don't tell me if you don't want me to know. I'll use discretion about what I disclose when you have a real estate deal in process, that you don't want disclosed. But no, I think it's going to be very good.
Fantastic. Well, Chairman Slusser, thanks as always for stopping by.
Well, thanks for having me on.
10 o'clock rolls on through in downtown Alton. We'll come back with top of the hour news next. And Hainer